Okay, sports fans. So, in this video, I want to talk to you guys about developing a specificity before you start branching out to be a jack of all trades and everything WROL, involved in WROL. So, that includes things like team CQB, squad tactics, and all this other stuff. Yeah, it's cool to learn and whatever. Disregard whatever I say if it's just for fun. But if you people are really thinking that you're prepared, then there's a few things I would say you need to check off your list first. Number one, you need to get very good at concealed carry. What that means is you need to be very good at drawing your preferred concealed carry firearm, and you need to be able to draw that very quickly and be able to engage a small target rapidly with positive identification and be able to do it in a very short amount of time. I would say under 2 seconds from more than 7 yards on something like a 2-inch circle or smaller while moving laterally. So, and at as fast as you can, not just this little tiny little walk that people will do where they're just barely heel toeing, but you need to actually be hustling and you need to practice from different positions and stuff like that. You need to master your own concealed carry handgun, right? Be able to do reloads and malfunctions blindfolded. That's just how it is. You shouldn't have to stare at a gun to know what you're doing with it, right? So that what's the point of indexing the gun and making it easier to go in if you're just going to stare at it? I can do it upside down, and I actually have where the magazine slips and I actually insert it like this. Whatever. So the next thing I would recommend is that you secure your castle. And what that means is you need to have a way of detecting a threat, have something that will hopefully deter the threat, and then from there you need to delay the threat. So that's and then of course the last thing is obviously dealing with the threat and in a way that there's if they make entry. And so delay is probably one of the biggest things that you're going to spend the most money on is getting stuff like door blockers or something like that, enhanced door locks. You're going to have to take time to replace the screws in your door with stuff that's actually going to reach the frame. So 3-inch screws is my go-to for everything hinge. And you can go with different plates, even specific doors that are meant to be burglar resistant or break-in resistant. And you might want to replace whole doors with doors that have no windows on them, because I know I have doors that have windows that I don't want to have around. Maybe you want to get 3M panels on to make it harder to break into certain windows. Maybe you want to get a 3M film put on them and get them tinted or something of that nature. You need to get cameras for detecting and stuff like that. The burglar bar or whatever, something that you put in front of your front and back door to prevent entry or delay entry at least. Also, develop a strong point inside your home. Maybe get some kind of bulletproof material or bullet resistant material to cover your family up in whatever strong point that may be. If you have children and you need to go across the home, it would probably be a good idea to set up a strong point across the home and absolutely limit the amount of movement that you are doing inside the home. So my recommendation would be to strong point somewhere in the home and have a method of contacting law enforcement and getting that clock rolling. So there are different ways to do that. You should probably start out with threat assessments and deciding what is the most likely and what is the least likely. And usually the least likely is the home invasion route. The more likely is probably a soft test by certain people looking to see if you're possibly open to having a burglary or a break-in. Having people skulking around looking for easy pickings outside, like you leaving tools outside, that stuff tends to disappear. uh, stuff like that. But get good at this and do drills and rehearse and stuff like that. Do stuff with your family in this if you can, if your family's up for it. But or at least war game with yourself and get people to understand the threats of the neighborhood or the world in general and why you have to do what it is you're going to have to do. And then from there, perhaps you need to get a little bit more proficient in articulating your behaviors. And what that means is you might want to get good at explaining yourself for why you did something that you did, and then go ahead and go back and read your laws on use of force. So you need to read your laws on property defense versus defense of life, use of deadly force versus less lethal force, or what some people call non-lethal force. But whatever the terminology may be, you need to be familiar with what the laws are when it pertains to using weapons or not using weapons against somebody for a certain purpose, such as entry into the home or just using force on them to get them off your property, and where the lines are in that. Because every state is a little bit different. I can tell you Arkansas is considerably different from Alaska. Things are a little bit more spelled out, but they are also contradictory in some ways. So, with that said, I would recommend you get something like concealed carry insurance and stuff. Take courses from USCCA, do their online training, watch their online videos and stuff like that. Get some information. There's other companies that as well that do concealed carry insurance. So USCCA isn't the only game in town, but get specifically good at reality. Your concealed carry, your home defense, your ability to deal with possible carjackers and stuff. Get good at situational awareness, the everyday, being alert and stuff. So just get good at dealing with reality before you start branching out. Be specifically good at doing what you do on a daily basis safely, and being able to answer a threat in normal life. Because I feel like a lot of people get so distracted with their hypotheticals and their fantasy world that they're not even good enough to actually operate in a civilized society, let alone WROL. Are you going to be an asset or a liability tomorrow? Are you going to be an asset or a liability in WROL? I think they kind of go hand in hand. If you're a liability, like you can't even tell me what your deadly force laws are, or your laws are for trespassers, or what the process is to get somebody who is trespassing to warrant deadly force, if it is at all warranted in your state or even your city or county, then you're not at a level that I would say you're an asset, because the biggest thing people are concerned about is trespass. They don't like when people are on their property, right? Well, I'm going to tell you now, for the most part, trespass is like the lowest level of concern. Foot traffic, people being on your property, lowest level of concern for law enforcement. They're less worried about property crime than they are, defense of life. So with that said, I'm going to stop before I go on a rant about law and stuff. But, you got to know your laws, do a little bit of research. The information's free, I promise. So if you need help interpreting that might cost you a little bit, but using a little bit of common sense might help. And also going on, online and looking at the different versions of the law. Some people do spell it out pretty plainly. So anyways, with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like the idea of getting a specificity in skills, or do you like the jack of all trades? Like, I'm going to learn everything, but I'm not going to be good at any one thing. So let me know what you think, and thanks a lot for watching, and you guys have a good one.